I really should do like thought of the day videos or something or other, because you know it seems to go that way anyway. You know, title thought of today and put like a quote in or whatever. And my thought of today is denial works on knowing what you're denying. People, at least to some degree, people who are in denial or something prefer, as I've mentioned before, like there's this fantasy steeped in supporting ego that people prefer to believe rather than the actual truth, right? And claim that's true. But in order to be in denial of something, you need at least some understanding, I think, to know what you're in denial of. At least some understanding, maybe some rudimentary, at least, you know, at the very least, because you just don't want to deal with it. That's what denial is, right? So on one level, you admit to yourself, yes, this is real, this is going on, this is true, but what about this in place of it? When you just keep hiding in your own bubble, like wishing, praying, this is not happening, this is not happening, my fantasy idea is happening instead. And you know, if I hold on just to the last minute, it'll all go away. Yeah, I think people miss that. I think people misunderstand what the denial is. Like and I do. You know, I get extremely frustrated when people deny. But I think what I should realise is they know already what they're denying, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't. You know, that is denial, isn't it? That in a nutshell. Otherwise, they wouldn't be moving away from it in an active way, avoiding it. To avoid something, you have to know what you're avoiding, right? Yeah. It's been said often that a lot of the haters online are lonely people. To be lonely, you need something to be lonely from. And you know, what they're lonely from is just normal social interaction. And again, it's because they're in denial of their erroneous approach. But they keep going, and one day they might be right. Instead of growing a paradox and dealing with it. And sometimes there are attributes of reality that are very tough to process, and we all have cognitive dissonance here and there. I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in other people, but I've learned the last 10 plus years, if you will, insight is infinitely revealing. Hindsight is just like 20/20 vision, if you like, or whatever. It's just, but insight, yeah, definitely infinitely revealing. Without insight, there is no you know, without the preference to build on your skill level, that it can be looked within yourself, if you will, without analysing yourself on why you are a certain way and why it needs to be improved. Without that, that's denial as well. Denialists always blame somebody else, don't they? It's the world's fault. They did it. It wasn't me. It was them. It was them. They never really end up being very specific, do they? They are doing this now. They're doing that, and the government are doing this. And It's all a conspiracy. It's them, they. What about my freedoms? They're being restricted. Who was doing this to you? No, that's how denial works. You don't address directly. You try to skirt around. You're weak and you're scared when you do this too much. I understand fear. I've had my fears in life. Everyone has, right? So you see a lot of self-destruction on certain people online recently, and they wouldn't be so effective at their own self-destruction if they weren't actively trying to avoid something. In order to avoid something, you need to know at some level of what you're avoiding. I think that's good clarification. If you still don't get it, then that's okay. Sometimes I think these things can be so simple that it's very easy to miss. It's right in front of us. It was like, when I looked at this and thought about this, I thought, well, of course. And some people might be watching and go, well, of course. But I mention them because I think I've missed that, and I think other people have missed it to a larger degree as well, because it's so easy to miss, because it is so obvious. Again, in order to be in denial of something, you need at least some understanding of what it is that you're denying, because it's true, but there's this fantasy over here somewhere. Like you just the longer you can hold on, maybe one day that fantasy will be a reality. It won't. Anyone who's in a big denial on the internet, claiming everyone's the culprit of your detriments in your life. I've seen that actually to such a degree that some individuals, they're few and far between at that level, but there are those that the whole family falls apart and they just blame anyone. They blame haters on the internet, whereas these people have never even met them in person, don't even know where they live. They just, and all they've done is have an opinion against them because of what they put online is a big advert to their own dysfunction, ignoring family members and children in preference of doing their live show or whatever. Some child might be walking in crying for attention, and they get kicked out of the room or whatever, or pushed out of the room. I've seen stuff like that. And what happens when it all falls apart, the whole family falls apart? They blame the people, the haters on the internet. Wow, I've seen that. That's mind-blowing. They know what they've done wrong. That's why they avoid it. Because inside they're so ashamed and, probably hate themselves maybe, rather than dealing with the monster to correct. The monster that they become to correct and not be a monster anymore. To one step at a time. It's too much for them. So it's like, they're hiding away from it. This is not happening. This is not happening. That kind of mindset. It's cuckoo. It's crazy. But we humans are like this. We are a psychotic species. We are actually absolutely mind-blowingly self-detrimental. So we have to be collectively, I think, in some cases, and even then, even when we collectively have to cooperate, even then there's some idiots denying the reality that we have. Obviously I'm referring to the pandemic. We have to collectively cooperate now. But yeah, we still have anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers. So there's a number of family members have been vaccinated this last couple of weeks, so that's good. And I still, of course, have to wait my turn. And I glad to do so. Thanks for watching. Take care. Peace out. And look forward to doing the next video. Cheers. Bye.